Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin.
There is something quietly magical behind your eyes. Not just the lenses or the retina or the delicate nerves that trace their way inward like rivers of light, but something stranger, something invisible. You are looking out all the time, seeing colors, shapes, people, and places. But the world you see is not the world as it is. It is the world as your mind tells you it should be. Your brain, nestled in silent darkness, has never once seen the sun or the face of a friend or the green of the trees. And yet it paints the world for you with such clarity, such ease, that it feels effortless. But this is no passive mirror. It is a living illusionist. Inside your head, billions of neurons fire like gentle sparks. Each flicker is part of a performance. Light enters the eye, bends through the lens, and strikes the retina where it becomes electricity. That electricity flows inward, meeting a secret choreography shaped by memory, biology, and expectation. Somewhere in that dance, a chair becomes a chair. A face becomes familiar. A sunrise becomes beautiful. But none of it is direct. None of it is real in the way we think real should mean. Reality, as we experience it, is filtered, softened, colored in by the mirror in your mind. Even space itself plays tricks. You think you see depth, distance, the reach of your hand, or the line of the horizon. But your brain constructs depth through guesswork using clues like shadows and motion. Close one eye and the illusion flickers. Walk through fog and distance blurs. What you see is not space. It's the mind's drawing of space, a sketch based on limited signals and quiet guesses. Sometimes it gets it wrong, but mostly it gets it beautifully right. Right enough to trust. Right enough to survive. Your ears do the same. Sounds are only vibrating air, touching your eardrum with invisible hands. Yet your brain gives those pulses meaning. A bird call, a whisper, a familiar voice. It stitches those sensations to the right source, even when the source is far away or hidden. But again, the process is not direct. It's interpretive, poetic, a little like dreaming. Two people may hear the same voice and feel entirely different emotions, because perception is never just input. It is shaped by emotion, memory, and even language. Touch is another illusion. The skin feels pressure, texture, temperature, but what it delivers to your brain are patterns. Those patterns are turned into sensations through years of experience. A soft sweater may feel comforting, not just because of its fibers, but because of the memory it calls forth. A warm mug may remind you of quiet mornings, and so the heat becomes more than heat. It becomes something felt in the heart, not just the hands. Your body speaks in symbols, and your mind listens in poetry. Even your sense of self, the feeling that you are you, is built from this mirror-like process. Every emotion, every thought, every image of who you believe you are is stitched from bits of memory, moments, and biology. When you think of yourself, you are seeing a reflection crafted from within, not a photograph but a painting, sometimes soft, sometimes uncertain, but always made from parts, and always subject to change. In deep meditation, in dreams, even in brain injury, the self can vanish or shift. Like a mirror cracking, the image blurs, reminding us that the self too is an illusion we wear gently. In moments of silence, you can almost feel this mirror working. Sit still, close your eyes. The world outside disappears, but a world inside remains. Thoughts rise and fall like waves. Sensations continue without source. Time stretches. You are still present, still aware, but not through the senses. Awareness itself becomes the final illusion, because even it can be altered, distorted, or lost. And yet, it feels the most real of all. In science, this mystery is called the hard problem of consciousness. No one knows exactly how the brain, a lump of organic tissue, gives rise to the rich theater of experience. Some scientists believe consciousness is an emergent process, a result of complexity. Others wonder if it's more fundamental, like a field that the brain taps into. And still others see it as a recursive loop, where the brain sees itself seeing. but none of them can explain why red feels like red, or why music brings tears, or why we feel like a person at all. You can think of your brain as a prediction engine. It guesses what's out there constantly. It compares what you expect with what you sense, and it fills in gaps with imagination. If you've ever seen a face in the clouds or heard your phone buzz when it didn't, that was your brain completing a pattern it thought it should see. These illusions are not mistakes, they're survival tools. They let you move through the world with speed and clarity. But they also mean that what you call reality is a woven tapestry, not a mirror's surface. Take vision, for example. Your brain deletes the blind spot where the optic nerve leaves the eye. It fills it in with best guesses so you never notice the gap. When you move your eyes, it shuts down visual input momentarily to prevent motion blur, like editing a film frame by frame. And when you dream, it builds entire worlds without any input at all. How strange, then, that we trust vision so deeply, that we say, "I saw it with my own eyes," as if that makes it real. But the eyes are only messengers. The mind is the painter. And this painter doesn't work alone. Culture, language, belief all color the canvas. A person raised in the desert may see water differently than one raised by the sea. Someone who grew up around danger may read neutral expressions as threatening. Memory reshapes present perception. Emotion tints everything. We don't just see, we interpret. We don't just hear, we filter. The world is not raw data. It is a living, breathing, softly shaped illusion. But illusions are not lies. They are the way living creatures make sense of what would otherwise be too much. The brain narrows the flood of information to something manageable, something meaningful. That narrowing becomes your window to the world, and the window changes with you. What you believe, feel, and remember all cast shadows and light across the glass. Even now, as you listen or read, you are not absorbing information directly. You are dreaming it awake. You are forming pictures in your mind's eye, feeling shapes and rhythms in the language. The brain is doing its gentle work, turning light and sound into inner landscapes. And in this way, the mirror continues to reflect not just what is, but what might be, what matters, what is remembered. So the next time you look at the world, remember this: you are not just seeing what is out there. You are seeing yourself seeing. You are watching the mind's mirror move. You are witnessing illusion but not deception. This illusion is what lets you feel. It is what lets you connect, imagine, and wonder. And maybe, just maybe, that is more real than reality itself. Now imagine that mirror deepening, reflecting not just the outer world but the unseen rhythms of life within you. For if perception shapes your sense of reality, it also shapes how you experience yourself, your emotions, your time, your very presence. Inside the brain, a soft electricity moves like whispers between trees, flowing from neuron to neuron in delicate cascades. This current is not random. It moves with intention, carrying signals of color, memory, and sensation. It is thought not as a voice, but as a tide of quiet pulses, organized in invisible patterns. These patterns are how you dream, how you speak, how you feel the nearness of another person without a single word being said. They are also how you recognize your own reflection. But that recognition, too, is illusion. Not false, but filtered. The image you hold of yourself, the face, the name, the story, is sculpted from layers. Your brain recalls certain moments, edits others, and fills the empty spaces with imagined details. It does this with kindness most of the time. It smooths over pain. It connects events into a narrative that feels whole. And in this way, the self is not a single object but a flowing river of interpretations. Who you were a year ago is not quite who you are now, and yet the mind stitches it all into one long thread. That thread is comforting. It is also fragile. Let's drift deeper. Think about time, not in seconds or hours, but in how it feels. Time is one of the most profound illusions the brain creates. When you're waiting, minutes feel like hours. When you're laughing, an hour disappears like mist. This elasticity of time is not a mistake. It is part of how your mind builds meaning. Emotion and attention stretch or shrink your sense of duration. A single moment of awe can feel eternal. A routine day may vanish without leaving a trace. Your brain is not a clock. It is a storyteller. And even memory, that quiet archivist of your life, cannot be fully trusted. It is vivid, yes, but not fixed. Each time you recall a memory, you rewrite it slightly, as if brushing new color onto an old canvas. What was once sharp may soften. What was once blurred may gain clarity. Emotion guides the hand. A memory tied to joy becomes brighter with time. One tied to shame may slowly fade or become distorted. The brain, again, is not lying. It is preserving your story in a way that keeps you whole. Even forgetting can be a form of mercy. At the edges of these illusions lies emotion. Not just feeling, but the mind's interpretation of internal states. You don't simply feel anxious. Your brain predicts danger, signals your heart to race, and assigns meaning to the tightness in your chest. Emotions are constructed, not discovered. Like colors in a dream, they arise from many sources: hormones, history, environment, and are shaped by the language you have to describe them. In some cultures, there are words for emotions we don't name in English. Quiet joy at someone's happiness, sorrow mixed with pride, longing without sadness. Your brain can feel only what it has learned to name. And what of reality outside the body? The physical world, mountains, oceans, the moon, surely these are not illusions. But even these are known only through perception. The moonlight you see is not moonlight. It is sunlight bouncing off stone, filtered through Earth's atmosphere, adjusted by your brain. The ocean's roar is only waves pressing against air, translated into sound by your inner ear. The mountain's stillness is felt only because your mind compares it to your own movement. Reality is there, yes, but what you experience is always a translation, never the original. The more you explore this, the softer the world begins to feel. Not unreal, but gently uncertain. The boundaries between things blur. The color of a tree becomes a conversation between photons, eyes, and memory. The taste of food becomes not just chemistry, but culture. Even pain is shaped by expectation. Studies have shown that the same injury can feel more intense or less painful depending on how the brain interprets the situation. Soldiers in war often report less pain from serious wounds than civilians do from minor ones. The mind protects. It decides what hurts and what does not. And still deeper is the illusion of control. You move your hand, and it feels like you decided to. But neuroscience has found that brain activity predicting that movement happens moments before you become aware of your intention. It suggests that consciousness might be the observer, not the originator. That you are watching your own choices unfold just after they begin. This doesn't mean you are not responsible. It means that responsibility, too, is part of the mirror's magic. Free will may exist, but not in the simple way we imagined. It may be less about choice and more about awareness. This brings us to the body itself. You feel your body as one whole, united shape, but your brain builds that map from signals scattered across nerves, organs, skin. Phantom limb syndrome shows us the power of this illusion. A person who has lost a limb may still feel it vividly because the brain's map of the body includes it. That map can be tricked. It can be changed. Mirror therapy has helped people with phantom pain by reflecting a healthy limb where the lost one should be, showing, again, that the brain believes what it sees, even when it's not there. And yet, for all this illusion, the experience of being alive is not diminished, it is enhanced. What you see, hear, feel, and think is your way of making sense of complexity. The world is too vast to absorb all at once, so your brain filters, simplifies, and paints a picture that is both useful and beautiful. This is not failure, it is grace. The illusion is not deception, it is design. Without it, you would be lost in sensation. With it, you find meaning. The mirror in your mind is therefore not just a trickster. It is an artist. It does not copy reality, it interprets it. Like a poet describing a storm, it brings emotion and color where there was once only movement and sound. It helps you feel connected to others, even though you can never truly know what another person sees or feels. Empathy itself is a kind of shared illusion, your brain imagining what another's world might be like. That imagining becomes real enough to move you, to help you, to hold you. So when you walk through your day, remember, you are not simply reacting to what is there. You are dancing with it. You are shaping it as it shapes you. You are gazing into the world through a mirror that is alive, responsive, and utterly unique to you. No one else sees the exact same world you do. No one else feels the same shade of blue, the same softness of silence, the same tug of memory. Your reality is yours alone, crafted gently, moment by moment, from within. And as you fall asleep or close your eyes to rest, the mirror does not stop. It drifts into dreams. There it continues to shape. It tells stories in symbols, it plays with time, it revisits forgotten places. Dreams are where the illusion becomes untethered from the body yet still feels real. And when you wake, it hands you a new day, already painted in light and sound, ready for you to walk through, as though it had been there all along. Let's return to that mirror now, but let it become still, like a quiet pond at dawn, its surface barely rippling, yet holding the reflection of an entire sky. This is where the illusion softens into something close to peace. You've traveled through perception, memory, emotion, and thought. You've seen how the brain composes your world, not by direct contact but by gentle recreation. What then is left to trust? If your senses interpret rather than record, if your memories reshape themselves like tide-smoothed stones, if even yourself is a shifting image, what anchors you? Perhaps it is this, the experience itself, not the thing observed but the act of observing, not the memory but the meaning it carries. The illusion of reality may not be a flaw, it may be the feature that makes consciousness beautiful. It may be that we are not designed to know what is truly there, but instead to engage with what feels real enough to hold, to love, to share. And so you look at a flower and you see not only pigment and pattern but something tender. You hear music and feel not only rhythm but memory rising through sound. You watch the sky and it reminds you of time, of movement, of stillness, of how small you are and how infinite. These are not mistakes. These are gifts of the mirror. The illusion does not need to be undone. It only needs to be understood not with suspicion but with awe. You are not deceived. You are enchanted. Your brain weaves a world from starlight and touch, from electric pulses and ancient instincts. And in that world you find joy, sorrow, connection, wonder. All of it real in the only way that matters, felt deeply, remembered gently, carried forward with grace. Science continues to explore this terrain, asking, can machines be conscious? Can we build mirrors that think? And what happens when two minds see the same event differently? Who holds the true version of reality? But these questions only underline the same truth. Reality is never simply out there, waiting to be perceived. It is always a collaboration between what exists and the one who sees it. A flower has no color until light reflects off it, enters your eye, and is interpreted by your brain. Color, then, is not a property of the object, it is an experience. And what a delicate, shimmering experience it is. You can almost feel the brain at work when you close your eyes in sunlight. The warmth spreads across your skin, but the image behind your eyelids dances with flickers of red and gold. You are sensing with your whole body, interpreting temperature, pressure, light, memory all at once. You are not just in the world is also in you. Not metaphorically, but truly. Your cells carry the dust of ancient stars. Your atoms once belonged to oceans and rocks and creatures long gone. The illusion of separation dissolves. You are not looking through the mirror, you are part of it. Consider the moments that silence the mind, staring at waves or watching a candle flicker or listening to a baby's breath. These moments do not require explanation. They do not need decoding. They are felt directly, bypassing the mirror's need to categorize or control. In these rare stillnesses, illusion becomes simplicity. There is no self to interpret, just awareness itself resting in the shape of the present. No stories, no identities, just now. And perhaps that's the softest truth hidden in the mirror, that behind every reflection is silence. Not empty silence, but a fertile kind, the space from which thought arises, the pause in which wonder grows. You do not need to escape the illusion. You only need to see it and to know that it is gentle, a friend, a helper, a light that shows but never blinds. You are not trapped inside a false world. You are dancing through a world made livable by imagination. Imagination, that quiet architect, is at the heart of everything. It is what lets you picture a loved one who is far away. It is what lets you plan, remember, regret, and hope. It fills in shadows with possible shapes. It turns ideas into action. Without imagination, the world would be unbearably raw. With it, we build homes, write poems, hold hands in the dark. The illusion, then, is not a trick. It is a kindness. Even science itself, so careful, so precise, relies on the mirror. Every theory is a model, a mental construction built to approximate reality. We test, we revise, we draw closer, but we never hold truth directly. Instead, we hold representations, translated into symbols and language. That is why the universe feels poetic, because we are always meeting it halfway. The stars are not silent, but we give them song. The equations are not emotional, but we read meaning into their symmetry. The brain does not choose this. It is its nature. The mirror reflects, but it also refracts. And sometimes, what it shows us is more beautiful than what is there. So what does this mean for you walking through the world each day? It means you can soften. You can let go of the need to be exact or certain or right. You can listen more closely to what others see through their own mirrors. You can hold your beliefs lightly, your memories gently, your perceptions with curiosity. And when things feel strange or distorted, when the world looks unfamiliar, you can remember that this, too, is the mirror shifting, adjusting, searching for balance again. Because in the end, there is no final image, no perfect version of reality, only layers seen through layers shaped by time and thought and heart. But in that layering there is richness, there is color, there is story. And what is life if not the sharing of stories? Yours is shaped by your mind. And that mind, despite its illusions, is full of truth, not the hard, cold truth of facts, but the soft, warm truth of experience. So let the mirror remain. Let it shimmer and reflect and soften the edges of things. Let it change with you. Let it hold your sorrows and shape your joy. Let it remind you that seeing is never simple but always sacred. And when you look into the eyes of another, remember, their mirror too is alive. And in that quiet sharing, illusion becomes connection. And connection becomes the most real thing of all. Imagine walking through a sunlit room, where shadows stretch softly across the floor and golden beams pour through the window like silk. You reach out your hand and touch the wooden edge of a table, and it feels firm, sturdy, unquestionably solid. But in the quiet space between your fingertips and the atoms beneath them, something astonishing hides. That table is not what it seems. Neither is your hand. Beneath the surface, everything you know as solid is mostly space, vast emptiness laced with flickers of energy. And the thing that keeps your hand from falling through the table is not matter but light, invisible light, a force field made of dancing particles and probability. What you feel as touch is not contact but resistance, a shimmer, a trick, light pretending to be solid. All matter, everything you see and hold, is made from atoms. Atoms, in turn, are made of tiny particles, protons, neutrons, and electrons. But even these particles are not little marbles. They are not solid in the way a pebble is solid. They are more like flickering moments of energy, appearing and disappearing, existing as both particles and waves depending on how you look. Electrons do not orbit the nucleus like moons around planets. They exist in clouds in probability fields where their exact location is uncertain until observed. The more you try to pin them down, the more they slip away. And yet somehow all of this creates the illusion of stability, a cup that holds water, a floor that holds your weight, but solidity is not real. It is the result of repulsion, electrons resisting other electrons. You never actually touch anything. You feel the pushback of invisible light. This light comes from the electromagnetic force, one of the four fundamental forces of nature. It binds atoms together, holds molecules in place, keeps your body intact. When two objects come close, their electrons repel each other through this force. That resistance is what your brain interprets as contact. The firmness of a chair, the pressure of your foot against the ground, even the beat of your pulse under your skin, these are electromagnetic impressions. You live within a world of shadows cast by energy fields, never quite meeting the physical, only sensing its shape through light. And light itself is a paradox. It is both a particle and a wave, behaving like each depending on how you look. It can travel through the vacuum of space, carrying the image of stars across time. It has no mass, yet it can exert pressure. It moves at a speed so constant and so strange that time itself bends around it. In Einstein's world, the speed of light is the universe's speed limit. Nothing with mass can reach it. And as something approaches that speed, time slows down, length shrink, mass increases. So light does not simply illuminate reality, it shapes it. But what makes this more curious is that light also defines what you cannot see. The visible spectrum, the rainbow of colors your eyes can perceive, is just a tiny sliver of what light truly is. Beyond violet lies ultraviolet, invisible but felt as sunburn. Beyond red, there is infrared, which you feel as warmth. Further still are microwaves, radio waves, gamma rays, X-rays, each a form of light, differing only in wavelength. Your eyes were shaped by evolution to see just enough to survive, to detect the sun's peak emission, to read facial expressions, to sense motion. But most of the light in the universe is invisible to you. You walk through it daily, unaware. It brushes past your skin, moves through walls, sings across stars. And this unseen ocean of light is what creates the illusion of solidity. When you hold a stone, you trust its weight, its chill. But that sensation, too, is crafted by interpretation. Temperature is not a thing. It is the motion of atoms vibrating faster or slower. When you touch something cold, its atoms are moving more slowly than yours and your body transfers energy. But your experience of that is not raw physics. It is a story told by your brain, a feeling. Your mind turns motion into sensation, invisible forces into texture. Every solid object you know is a symphony of energy fields, locked in dance, pretending to be still. Consider glass. To your eyes it is clear, almost invisible, but it is solid, hard enough to shatter. Light passes through it, but not without interaction. The photons enter, excite electrons, are absorbed and re-emitted, slowed down in the process. What seems like effortless transparency is actually an intricate performance, choreographed by quantum rules. And yet to your perception the illusion is perfect. The window disappears. The world outside flows in. You are not seeing through the glass. You are watching light perform an illusion for you, one that your mind accepts without question. And when you look at your own body, what do you see? Skin, hair, hands, but beneath them a swirling storm of atoms kept in place by the balance of forces. Your cells are mostly water, which is mostly empty space. Yet you feel whole, you feel weight. This feeling is real to you. It grounds you. It lets you rest in the physical world. But physics whispers something stranger, that you are made of stardust, yes, but also made of interactions, of relationships between forces. You are not solid because of substance. You are solid because light holds you apart from everything else. Even the colors you see are illusions painted by light. An object is not blue because it possesses blueness. It appears blue because it absorbs every other wavelength and reflects the one your eyes interpret as blue. That reflection is processed in your retina, translated by neural signals and interpreted by your brain. The blue you see may not be the blue someone else sees, and yet the illusion is stable enough to agree upon. We name it sky. We call it sea. But underneath, it is just energy bouncing in patterns. When you think of light, you might picture brightness, clarity, but light is not just illumination. It is the architect of the visible. Without it, there would be no shadow, no form, no distinction between things. It outlines edges, defines space, reveals depth. And because light travels at a finite speed, it also means that everything you see is in the past. The moon you gaze at is as it was over a second ago. The sun, 8 minutes ago. The stars, millions of years. You never see anything as it is now. You see echoes. You see time shaped into light. So the next time you walk through a room and your hand brushes a wall or your fingers hold a warm cup, remember, you are not touching matter. You are being held back by light. The firmness beneath your hand is an electromagnetic push, not contact. The world you call solid is a performance of invisible forces, choreographed so perfectly that you feel safe standing on a floor made mostly of emptiness. You are walking on illusions, beautiful ones, necessary ones. Ones that let you rest, sleep, and believe in the reality you touch. But the truth remains, light, that gentle impostor, is what makes the world feel real. It pretends to be solid so that you may live. Let's drift deeper into the soft mystery of light, letting go of what we think we know about the material world. What is solidness if not an illusion of stillness? What is form if not a temporary arrangement of waves? At the heart of it all, light doesn't simply allow us to see, it decides what is visible. And what becomes visible determines what becomes real to us. Yet light does not stop at the edges of vision. It continues on, interacting with every surface, every particle, every breath. The walls that stand around you, the ground beneath your feet, the skin across your fingertips, all of them are woven from empty space and electromagnetic resistance, sculpted by fields, not bricks. Light is not just a messenger of vision. It is the gentle gatekeeper of everything you believe to be touchable. Scientists often describe atoms as tiny nuclei surrounded by swirling clouds of electrons, but even this picture is simplified, a metaphor for something far stranger. Electrons do not orbit like planets. They shimmer in clouds of probability, never truly in one place until observed. Their locations are spread out like fog, and their identities are not fixed. They exist in states, not points. And the reason those clouds repel other electron clouds is the electromagnetic force, a fundamental field carried by photons. The very same light that brightens a room is the force that keeps you from falling through your chair. The same light that glows gently from a candle also forms the barrier between your body and the table it rests on. And yet this light cannot be seen directly in its most active role. You cannot witness the moment two atoms push against each other. You cannot watch a photon create resistance between surfaces. These events happen invisibly, everywhere, always, beneath awareness, beneath sensation. But their consequences are all around you. The solidity of a tree trunk, the bounce of a tennis ball, the pause of your step before your foot meets the floor. All of it is light pushing back, politely saying, "You may come this far, but no further." Let's stay here for a moment in this idea that light is not just brightness but boundary. The ancient texts and poets often spoke of light as revelation, as wisdom, as awakening. And in a way, they were right. Light reveals not only what is, but what can be touched, what can be held. It defines the edges of our reality, carves the borders of experience. And yet, it does so without sound, without weight, without presence. Light works its illusion through force fields and invisible energy. Through math, not magic, but the result feels like magic nonetheless. Imagine now that you are shrinking not in body but in awareness down to the level of molecules. What once seemed firm now appears vast and ghostly. The walls of a room dissolve into swarms of atoms. The chair becomes a lattice of electrons repelling other electrons. The solid spoon is revealed to be a delicate cage of charged particles, dancing but never touching. You float through a world that is not hard but humming, not fixed but flickering. You begin to understand that all solidity is cooperation. The atoms in your hand agree not to pass through the atoms in the table. The illusion is a shared language of boundaries. This is why quantum physics feels so dreamlike. The laws at the smallest scales do not behave the way we expect. Particles behave as waves. They interfere with themselves. They exist in multiple states until measured. And when they are observed, they choose a position. What causes this collapse from possibility into actuality is still debated. Some say consciousness plays a role. Others believe the interaction itself, no matter how subtle, is enough. But in either case, it reminds us, what you see is never the full truth. It is a choice made in the presence of light. Even more bewildering is that light itself has no rest frame. For a photon, time does not pass. It is emitted, travels at the speed limit of the universe, and is absorbed all in the same instant. From the light's perspective, there is no journey, only presence. This means that the sunlight warming your skin was born in the heart of a star over 8 minutes ago, but in the photon's experience, it simply exists, touching you the moment it leaves the sun. Light collapses distance. It turns separation into nearness. And light does not need eyes to be real. Long before sight evolved, before the first eyes blinked open in the ocean's depths, light shaped the universe. It pushed against gravity, carved the early plasma of creation into structure. It echoed through the vast nothing as the cosmic microwave background, a glow we can still detect, the whisper of light from the birth of all things. Light, it seems, has always been here, forming illusions that became galaxies, shadows that became stars. And eventually, it taught life to see. Vision is a late gift, an accident of evolution, molecules in cells that react to photons, forming pigments, then patterns, then shape and depth. Eyes turned light into meaning. But even now, vision is a quiet hallucination. The retina captures light, but only after translating it into chemical pulses. These pulses are processed in the back of the brain, in a dark room with no windows, where your mind builds the image it thinks it should see. And because your brain expects solidity, it paints solidity. Because it expects edges, it paints edges. The illusion is seamless. This is why you can be fooled by a hologram, why a mirror tricks you, why virtual reality feels real even though you know it's not. Your mind craves light's boundaries, it trusts them. And that trust, built over thousands of generations, makes the illusion all the more convincing. But once you glimpse the mechanism behind the magic, the world becomes softer. Not less real, more so. You begin to see the artistry, the craft of physics, the delicate dance of perception. And within all of this, you remain a participant. Your eyes do not simply watch, they create. Your skin does not simply feel, it interprets. Your mind does not merely absorb, it projects. The light that pretends to be solid does so not to deceive you, but to hold you, to let you rest against what would otherwise be chaos, to give you something to walk on, something to build with, something to believe in. So as you drift through your life, as you reach for a doorknob, sip from a cup, feel the pressure of a breeze against your arm, remember this: you are not interacting with matter. You are dancing with light. You are experiencing a boundary shaped by particles too small to see, governed by forces too subtle to feel, performing a play too ancient to trace. And you, dear dreamer, are not separate from this illusion. You are part of its casting. The floor beneath you, the spoon in your tea, the hand that rests against your own, these are not things. These are agreements between fields of light, an unspoken understanding between matter and perception. The illusion holds not because it must, but because it is beautiful, and in that beauty there is comfort. Not every illusion is meant to be broken. Some are meant to be lived. Now let the illusion fade just slightly, not enough to disturb you, only enough to let you see the softness underneath. The world around you, so rich with shape and weight and texture, is not a prison of matter but a lullaby of light. The chair you sit on, the breath you exhale, the walls that hold your room together, they are not rigid things. They are music made visible, held in place by rhythm, not stone. If you could slow your perception, soften your gaze, you might see it. The flicker of atoms trembling with energy, the constant negotiation between charges and fields. What you think of as stillness is full of motion. What you think of as form is an endless shimmer, pretending, gently, to be solid. And light plays every role. It is the performer, the stage, the script, and the audience. It outlines the world, defines its borders, colors its breadth. But it also pushes, ever so slightly, shaping reality not with hands but with presence. You've never touched anything directly, not the warmth of a mug, not the smoothness of skin, not even the ground beneath your feet. All of these moments are echoes of resistance, electromagnetic ripples translated by your nerves, interpreted by your mind. And because the mind has always lived this way, it calls that illusion real. It builds trust not on truth, but on familiarity. This trust is why you can close your eyes and still feel the world around you. The shape of your room, the edge of your bed, the memory of a doorknob, these are not ghosts. They are expectations shaped by light's past performances. Your brain remembers the choreography even when the lights are off. It predicts the solidness before it happens. It tells your muscles what to do, your balance how to shift. You navigate the world not by raw sensation but by rehearsal. Each motion is a quiet agreement between what you felt before and what you believe you will feel again. And most of the time, the illusion holds perfectly. But now and then it breaks. A missed step, a hot surface, a surprise in the dark. And when it does, it reminds you just how fragile the illusion really is. Your senses are tuned for familiarity, not accuracy. They don't record reality, they translate it into meaning, into safety, into story. That translation is filled with assumptions, shortcuts, simplifications. Yet without them, the world would overwhelm you. The chair would be a storm of atomic probability. The air would be a soup of invisible radiation. The body would be a network of interactions with no single you at the center. So the brain offers a gift. It simplifies the symphony into a melody you can hum. It tells you, this is solid, this is real, this is yours. And you believe it not because it's true, but because it's gentle. And still, light carries truth too. The sunbeam through a curtain is not a lie, it is a whisper from a star. The shadow on a sidewalk is a story told by geometry. The glint in someone's eyes is light reflecting emotion. These are not deceptions, they are layers. Reality is not hidden from you. It is filtered, softened, made bearable. The illusion is a kindness, not a trick. And the more you understand it, the more beautiful it becomes. Like knowing how music is made and loving it more for the knowledge. Like understanding that a rainbow is just bending light, and yet still pausing to watch it shimmer. So when you reach for something, anything, pause, if only for a moment. Remember that what you feel is not contact. It is a boundary shaped by light, a force field drawn by nature to keep particles from collapsing. You are not solid against a solid world. You are a pattern of energy brushing against another pattern, a ripple meeting another ripple. And the space between you is full, not of nothing, but of possibility. Even your thoughts are sculpted by this. Your brain, made of neurons, relies on electrical pulses to send signals. These pulses are governed by the same electromagnetic rules. When you think, when you remember, when you love, it is light again, dancing through biological pathways. You are a being of light, not metaphorically, but physically. The same light that keeps your hand from falling through your desk also keeps your heartbeat steady, also lets your voice rise, also makes your eyes shine in the dark. And yet the illusion holds steady. You walk through walls that are mostly emptiness. You drink from cups that are mostly space. You stand on floors that repel your atoms but never truly meet them, and it feels safe. It feels stable. This is not ignorance, it is the brain's genius. It creates the world in which you can live, love, rest. It builds a story of matter from waves and forces, and you, in turn, build your story upon that story. But perhaps the softest part of this illusion is what it teaches you about fragility, about how everything you call solid can shift. Stone crumbles, metal melts, glass shatters. Even the strongest materials eventually yield, not because they are weak, but because all of them are built from the same delicate dance of particles. Solidity is not eternal. It is negotiated. It holds only as long as balance holds. And so, in a way, the illusion teaches compassion. What looks unmovable may be only steady for now. What seems impenetrable may be moments from change. This is true for people too. The hardest heart, the firmest mind, they are not fixed. They are systems of memory, belief, and experience. Illusions held together by light. And like all illusions, they can soften, they can grow. What you think of as you is not a single solid being, but a constantly shifting arrangement of thoughts and feelings, shaped by history and held by gentle resistance. You are not finished. You are never finished. You are a living illusion, always becoming. So hold the world gently. Trust the table to hold your tea, yes, but know that its solidity is temporary. It is borrowed from balance. Know that every object around you is not a fixed thing, but a momentary agreement among invisible forces. Know that what you see as stable is actually vibrating, shimmering, alive. And know that this illusion is not your enemy. It is your home. The next time you see a beam of sunlight cut through a window, take a moment to watch it dance. Know that it is light pretending to be solid, that it is painting the room not with color but with memory, that it is brushing your skin not with weight but with warmth shaped by distance, that it has touched the stars before it touched you, and that in its quiet journey it has helped build everything you know, everything you feel, everything you are. You do not live outside of this illusion. You live within it. You are stitched from it. You are made of light's soft deceptions and its firm truths. You are the illusion dreaming itself awake. Somewhere inside the folds of your brain, memory flickers like firelight on a stone wall, gentle, persistent, and alive with meaning. And yet it is not just yours. The earth itself holds memory. So do trees, rivers, bones, and sky. The memory we speak of is not always conscious, not always a story told in words. It is pattern, repetition, response. It is the way a vine turns toward light, the way the ocean recalls the pull of the moon. The world is shaped not only by what happens in it, but by what is remembered within it. And in this way, memory is not just personal, it is a force of nature. Your body carries memory in more ways than you know. Not just in the images you recall or the moments you treasure, but in your posture, your breath, your reactions to a familiar song or scent. Muscle memory guides your hand without asking. Emotional memory quickens your heart before you speak. Every cell remembers its purpose, its place. DNA itself is a form of memory, ancient, encoded, passed down from creature to creature like a whisper in the dark. You are not born empty. You arrive carrying the weight of everything that came before you, everything that learned how to survive, how to bend, how to grow. Even rocks remember, though not in the way we do. A canyon remembers the river that carved it. A glacier remembers cold centuries. The pressure deep within the earth shapes crystals in ways that mark time like pages in a book. Fossils, frozen ash, the layers of sediment, each one a gentle recording of something that once lived, once moved, once changed the shape of things. You could walk across a quiet field and never know the stories beneath your feet, but they are there, held in silence. The memory of the world is not always loud. Often it is hidden in texture, in shadow, in weight. Trees remember seasons. Each ring in a trunk is a line of memory, a record of drought, of rainfall, of fire. The roots remember too, which direction brought water, which neighbor offered shade. Some trees even remember companionship. Forests communicate through underground networks, sharing signals, helping one another survive. A tree under stress sends warning signals to others, and in return, others respond. Memory in the natural world is not always stored in brains. It is stored in behavior, in chemistry, in the slow pulse of ecosystems. Your own mind does not remember like a library. It remembers like a tide. Memories rise and fall, fade and return. You do not keep the past in fixed drawers. You revisit it, reshape it, see it in the light of who you are now. And each time you remember something, you change it slightly, as if smoothing a stone with every touch. The brain is not interested in perfect accuracy. It is interested in meaning. That is why two people can recall the same moment so differently. Memory is shaped by emotion, context, language. It is not what happened. It is what it felt like. But memory is not just internal. It lives in culture, in objects, in shared rituals. A lullaby sung across generations, a recipe that carries the scent of childhood, a photograph passed between hands. These are all memory embodied. When you speak a familiar phrase or take a familiar path, you are living memory, animating it. Your home remembers you. The chair you sit in molds to your shape. The door handle warms to your touch. We are remembered by the spaces we inhabit, even if they never say a word. Animals remember too, not only where food is, or which path is safe, but which faces are kind. Birds return to the same nesting grounds. Whales sing songs that evolve over time. Elephants mourn their dead. Memory shapes survival, but it also shapes affection, curiosity, ritual. It is not reserved for humans. The world is filled with creatures whose memories guide their lives in quiet, unseen ways. And even in the absence of thought, memory finds a way. The sea anemone, with no brain at all, still remembers how to contract when touched. Time and memory are inseparable, but they are not the same. Time moves forward, memory reaches backward. And yet the two dance together, holding hands. Memory gives the past weight, texture. Without it, time would be a blur, moment after moment, with no echo, no link. It is memory that creates story. It is memory that creates identity. And so, in a way, memory is time, or at least our way of feeling it. And the brain, the great conductor of memory, does not store your past in one place. It scatters pieces of each experience across many regions. Sights in one area, sounds in another, emotions somewhere else. When you recall a moment, your mind reassembles it from these fragments. It replays the symphony as best it can. Sometimes the tune is clear. Sometimes only one note remains, but still it plays. And often that one note is enough to feel it all again. The hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped structure deep in your brain, is essential for this reassembly. It helps organize memories, decide what stays, what fades. Damage to it can erase the ability to form new memories, leaving someone adrift in the present, a boat unmoored. But even then, emotional memory may remain. A face may still feel familiar. A voice may still soothe. Some memories are so deeply etched they live beneath words. They live in the body. Dreams, too, are a theater of memory. Each night the brain sifts through the day's impressions, weaving them with older memories, hopes, and fears. It is not just storage, it is alchemy. In dreams, memory becomes metaphor. The mind rearranges experience into symbols, searching for meaning, for healing, for sense. We may wake up confused but touched, moved by something deeper than language. The dream becomes a memory of its own, strange but powerful. Even memory loss teaches us something. It shows us how much of the self is memory. When someone forgets who they are, we see how fragile identity is, how much it depends on recollection. But we also see something else, that love can remain even when names do not. That music can still bring tears. That touch can still comfort. The deepest memories live in places words cannot reach. They are not lost easily. They are not lost all at once. And memory, finally, is not just a record. It is a guide. You remember pain so you can avoid it. You remember joy so you can seek it. You remember others so you can connect. Every choice you make is shaped by what you recall, what you carry. Memory is not just the past. It is the soil from which your future grows. So look around you gently. The world is not only what is, it is what has been. Every surface, every face, every breath carries memory, not in loud declarations, but in the softness of familiarity, the quiet recognition of patterns, the sense that this has happened before, that this matters because it happened before. And maybe, just maybe, that memory, yours, mine, the Earth's, is what keeps everything from unraveling, what gives shape to the now. What makes the world not just visible, but meaningful. Now imagine that memory is not just something you carry, but something you are. That every breath you take is laced with what came before, not only in thought but in structure. Your body holds memory in its bones, in its rhythm, in its instincts. The shape of your hands, the way your heart beats faster when startled, the way your eyes adjust to dimness, all are inherited recollections. Evolution itself is a memory, slow and steady, written into the genome. Over countless generations, life remembers what works, what survives, and what must be passed on. In this way, memory is not just mental, it is biological. It is sculpted into life itself. Even the cells within you remember their origins. A skin cell knows not to become a liver cell. A neuron does not become muscle. This is not intelligence in the way we usually think of it. It is a coded memory, a silent instruction followed without question. This memory is passed down every time a cell divides, a tiny echo of the first cells that ever formed. And inside the nucleus of each one lies a long spiral of molecules, carrying the story of life in chemical letters. DNA is the world's oldest journal, still writing, still remembering, still whispering across time. Memory shapes not only survival but connection. When you recognize someone's face, when you recall a laugh, when a smell returns you to childhood, you are reliving a link. You are crossing the invisible threads that hold people together. And sometimes these threads stretch even when the memories fade. A person with memory loss may not remember your name but may still light up at your voice. The body remembers kindness. It remembers rhythm. It remembers love. In this way, memory is not linear. It is layered like clouds, like music, echoing through more than just words. Even places remember. A room you once lived in feels different than a stranger's room, even if the objects are the same. There's a weight to memory in space, a quiet resonance. You walk into a childhood home and your body knows it before your mind does. The scent, the light, the feeling beneath your feet. These are sensory echoes stitched into the fabric of experience. It's not that the walls themselves remember, but that your perception binds emotion to space. And once it's there, it lingers. That is why a song can make you cry. It does not contain memory, but it calls it forth, like a bell awakening the morning. The brain itself remembers through connection, millions upon millions of neurons linking and unlinking in ever-changing networks. Every thought, every movement, every decision strengthens or weakens these links. When you repeat something, you carve a deeper path. When you ignore it, the path fades. This is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change, to reshape itself based on what it remembers. It is why learning takes time, why healing takes time, why patterns take hold. And it is also why change is always possible. Even old memories can be reframed. Even long-held pain can become something gentler. But memory is not perfect, and perhaps that imperfection is a gift. The mind forgets what is not needed. It reshapes what is too sharp. It allows wounds to fade so life can move forward. This forgetting is not failure, it is kindness. Without it, every mistake would be unbearable. Every grief would last forever. Memory selects, edits, adapts, and in doing so, it gives you space to become someone new. If memory were flawless, there would be no forgiveness. But because it is soft, we can learn, we can heal, we can begin again. Even your sense of identity is a kind of memory, a story you tell yourself about who you are, where you've been, what matters. This story is not written once. It is rewritten every day. A new experience can shift the ending. A forgotten truth can change the beginning. And just like memory, the self is both stable and fluid. You remain who you are, but who you are keeps changing. Just as a tree adds new rings each year without losing its shape, you grow through memory, even when you're unaware. Let's drift further. Some scientists believe that memory is essential to consciousness, that without memory there can be no awareness. You wake each day not just because your body stirs, but because your mind recalls how to be you. It remembers the shape of the world, the language you speak, the people you love. Without that scaffolding, you would wake into a fog, a present with no anchor. Memory is the thread that binds moment to moment, breath to breath. It is the current that carries you forward gently through the ocean of time. And in a greater sense, memory may exist outside of brains entirely. Some physicists suggest that the universe itself has memory, that the present is not a fresh moment but the accumulation of every moment that came before. The bending of space, the path of a comet, the spin of a black hole, all shaped by what has already happened. Gravity remembers mass. Fields remember motion. Reality itself may be a record, unfolding slowly, silently. If so, then everything you see is not just now. It is always now and then, folded together. Memory also shapes culture. Stories passed from elder to child. Songs carried across oceans. Rituals repeated not because we understand them fully, but because they hold something we can't name. Collective memory binds communities together. It creates belonging. And sometimes when collective memory is broken through silence, through war, through loss, the rebuilding is slow, but still it comes. Memory finds its way back through art, through language, through shared silence. Even forgetting is part of the cycle. New stories grow from the space left behind. And still memory touches everything. The ripple of a stone tossed into a lake is a kind of memory, the path left behind in water, the echo of motion. A spider's web remembers the wind. A candle flame remembers the air. Even the wind, though always moving, remembers the shape of valleys, the pull of heat, the opening of wings. We walk through a world where memory is not stored but expressed, through form, through habit, through change. And we, too, are expressions of memory. Our steps are echoes. Our voices are songs carried forward from others. So the next time you remember something, something small like a favorite cup or something deep like a lost voice, let yourself feel the wonder of it, that you can carry what is gone, that you can revisit what no longer exists, that your mind can fold time into the present like a letter unfolding in your hands. Memory is a kind of magic, not because it defies nature, but because it is asterisk nature. The world remembers through you, and you, in turn, help the world remember itself. Let us linger now in the quiet where memory becomes something softer than story, something older than thought. Perhaps it is not only that we carry memory, but that memory carries us. You are a vessel of echoes, filled with the weight of what has passed, not as burden but as rhythm. Every breath remembers a breath before it. Every heartbeat echoes 1,000 more. You are not separate from your memories. You are shaped by them in ways too intricate to trace. The person you are today blooms from the soil of every moment you have lived, every joy, every ache, every silence. And as you move forward, even now, this moment is becoming memory, this gentle noticing, this quiet awareness, already slipping into the soft archives of your being. Some say time heals all wounds, but perhaps it is not time alone. It is memory softening at the edges. Pain does not always vanish, it changes shape. What once burned brightly may flicker instead as a shadow, a coolness, a lesson. You do not forget, but you begin to carry it differently. Memory, like water, wears new paths through the stone of your mind. And over time, even sorrow becomes familiar, less a weight, more a part of the landscape. This, too, is memory's kindness. It holds what matters but lets it shift, lets it rest. And sometimes memory surprises you. A smell you weren't expecting pulls you backward through years. A phrase, a song, a single laugh brings someone long gone suddenly close. It feels like magic, but it is your mind working quietly, always recording, always searching for patterns. The world becomes layered with meanings that others may not see. The path you walk is not just physical. It is emotional, historical, alive with invisible footprints. Where you see a bench, you also see the moment you sat there in spring, the way the wind moved through your hair, the sound of a voice you loved. These memories become companions, walking silently beside you. Even forgetting is not absence, it is space being made for newness. The brain cannot hold everything, and so it lets go not as failure but as wisdom. It knows what to keep, what to release. And sometimes what we think is forgotten is simply buried, waiting. A long-forgotten melody can rise to the surface after decades. A language you thought you lost can return with a single phrase. Memory is patient. It does not demand to be noticed. It waits for need, for emotion, for light. There is something tender in that waiting, something holy in the idea that you are never truly empty, that you are always more than you remember in any given moment. Your mind holds multitudes, layered like sediment beneath a lake. Even when the surface is still, the depths move. And when you sleep, those depths rise. Dreams stir memories you did not know you kept, emotions you did not fully feel. The sleeping mind is a memory garden where old seeds bloom in strange shapes. And when you wake, you carry the fragrance, even if the image fades. Others, too, carry memories of you. You exist not just in your own recollections, but in those of everyone you've touched. A laugh you shared, a kindness you gave, a moment you might not even recall. These live on quietly in the minds of others. You are part of their story just as they are part of yours. And sometimes this is the only kind of immortality we get. To be remembered not perfectly, not forever, but warmly for a time. Memory gives us to one another. It is how we remain, even after we are gone. Even grief is a form of memory. It is love remembering itself, looking for where to go. It is the ache of absence wrapped around presence that once was. We grieve not just because someone is missing, but because we still carry them. Their voice echoes, their habits linger, their presence is felt in places where they no longer stand. Memory lets them remain close. Grief, then, is not an enemy. It is a companion on the long road of remembrance. It hurts because we have loved. And in the end, memory gives shape to meaning. A flower is beautiful not only because of its color or symmetry, but because it reminds us of something, a person, a moment, a season. The ocean feels vast because it holds echoes of every summer, every goodbye, every silent walk along its edge. Even an ordinary object, a book, a scarf, a cup, can become sacred if it holds enough memory. The physical becomes emotional. The visible becomes layered with the invisible. This is how memory works. It turns the ordinary into treasure. We also build memory into the world around us. We make monuments, write journals, take photographs, carve initials into bark, not to freeze time but to honor it, to say, this happened, this mattered. These acts are more than nostalgia, they are rituals of preservation. They are how we weave the personal into the collective, how we remind ourselves and others that we are not alone in our remembering. Even a story told aloud becomes a kind of shelter, a place where memory can rest and stretch and be seen. So remember gently, remember without force. Let memory rise like mist, come and go like wind. Some things will stay, others will fade. This is not failure, this is nature. The mind remembers best not when it clings, but when it opens. When it receives the past as a gift, not a burden. When it honors the trace, not just the image. And when it allows memory to become not a mirror, but a window through which the present becomes brighter. The world is filled with memories not yet yours, places you have not been that will someday feel like home, people you have not met who will someday feel familiar, songs you have not heard that will feel like remembering something long forgotten. Life is not just what happens, it is what is remembered, what is carried forward, what becomes part of the ongoing story of what it means to be alive. So step softly through your day. Let each moment settle like dust on shelves within you. Speak words that someone else may hold. Listen as if every voice carries a history. Touch the world as if it remembers you too, because it does. And when the day fades, when silence returns, you will carry it all, not perfectly, but enough. Enough to know you were here. Enough to know you lived. Enough to shape the world quietly with memory. Time, as we know it, moves like a river. One direction, one flow, always forward. That's how we feel it. Morning to afternoon, childhood to old age, sunrise to moonlight. But beneath this steady rhythm, time is not so simple. It is not a line, not a metronome, not a ticking certainty. It is a shape we cannot see, a pattern too vast to hold. In physics, time bends, it stretches, it even slows. In dreams, it jumps. In love, it lingers. And sometimes it disappears entirely. What we call time is not the ticking of a clock, but the unfolding of change, the movement of memory, the rhythm of becoming. The time you feel is not the time that is. You live inside an illusion of motion, crafted by the mind so gently that it feels like truth. When you sit in silence, when the world is still, you might sense this more clearly. Time softens, minutes stretch. A second becomes a spacious thing, or the opposite happens, hours vanish like breath. You blink and the day is gone. Why does this happen? Because your brain does not measure time as a machine would. It senses time through events, through change, through meaning. A new experience creates more memory, which makes time feel full. Repetition leaves fewer footprints, and time feels thin, almost transparent. This is why childhood summers feel endless and adult years vanish in a blink. Novelty fills the pages. Routine erases them. But what is time, really? Einstein told us that time is not separate from space. It is part of a fabric, a four-dimensional weave called spacetime. Mass bends this fabric. The heavier an object, the more it pulls on time. This means that time is not constant. It flows more slowly near strong gravity. If you sat at the edge of a black hole, time for you would slow down compared to someone far away. You could spend an hour near the event horizon and return to find that years had passed for others. This is not science fiction. It is measurable. Astronauts orbiting Earth experience time slightly slower than people on the surface. The difference is tiny but real. Time is elastic. It changes based on speed, gravity, even perception. And yet we build our lives on the belief that it is steady, that tomorrow will follow today, that minutes are equal, but even your heartbeat shows this isn't true. When you are calm, time feels slow. When you are frightened, it races. This is not just emotion. It is your body shifting its rhythm, its chemistry, its urgency. Time is not in the world, time is in us. Your brain has no clock inside it. Instead, it measures time through attention, through motion, through internal cues. You remember how long something took not because of the actual duration, but because of how many changes occurred. A traffic jam with nothing happening feels longer than a busy hour at a museum. A boring meeting crawls. A thrilling book makes hours disappear. The more input your brain receives, the more time it feels. And the richer the experience, the more it is remembered. This is why travel feels expansive. Every new sound, sight, smell, your brain drinks it in, builds memory, and expands your sense of time. But if time can bend, can stretch, can be felt so differently, what does it mean to say time is real? Some physicists wonder if it is even fundamental. In certain equations, time can be removed entirely, replaced by relations between particles. In some models of the universe, time is an emergent property, not a building block. It arises from entanglement, from complexity, from change itself. Without change, there is no time. A frozen universe has no moments, no before or after. Only being, only is. And yet we are creatures of time. We measure our lives in it. We celebrate birthdays, we mourn loss, we keep calendars, we grow older. Time shapes us. But maybe that shape is more fluid than we think. Maybe age is not just a number, but a rhythm. The cells in your body are constantly renewing. Some parts of you are only weeks old. Others are older than you realize. Your bones carry the record of years, but your thoughts, your dreams, your love, they exist in no time at all. They arise fresh whenever called. In dreams, time melts. You may live through days in minutes, or revisit a childhood afternoon in an instant. The dream does not care for clocks. It follows emotion, memory, story. Time there is flexible, responsive. And when you wake, you feel both confused and moved, because some part of you knows that time was never rigid to begin with. Even in waking life, we step outside of time in small ways. A hug that feels like forever. A song that ends too soon. A gaze held for a breath that expands. In grief, time slows. In joy, it vanishes. In waiting, it stretches unbearably. In love, it suspends. These are not metaphors. These are the brain's responses to meaning. Time is not something we follow. It is something we create. Together, as we live, as we remember, as we hope. The past is not behind us. It is inside us. The future is not ahead. It is imagined, built, dreamed. And the present, the only time we ever truly have, is elusive. Try to hold it and it's already gone. But that's the gift of it. Time is not meant to be held. It is meant to be felt, to be flowed through, to be tasted in moments, not measured in seconds. The sunset is beautiful not because it lasts, but because it fades. The laughter is sweet because it passes. Even sorrow carries softness because it reminds us we are still here, still feeling, still changing. So what then is real? If time can bend, if clocks lie, if memory shifts, if experience changes its pace, what can we trust? Perhaps the answer is simple. We trust the feeling of presence, of being here now breathing, of touching this moment even if it slips away. We trust the rhythm of a heartbeat, the pattern of day and night, the breath before a word. We trust the now not because it is fixed, but because it is ours. And if you let yourself rest in this truth, that time isn't there in the way you once thought, you may begin to see differently. Not hurried, not anxious, not chasing, but still, aware, grateful. Each second a soft note in a song too wide to hear all at once. Each memory a ripple. Each heartbeat a drum in the long, patient rhythm of life. Time may not be there in the way the clocks say, but it is here in you. And that is more than enough. Let the idea settle now that time is not a line you walk, but a field you drift through. Not forward, but around. Not toward, but within. Every moment you remember, every dream you have, every story you tell, that is time folding itself into shape. What you experience is not the ticking of seconds, but the unfolding of change, the layering of impressions. And sometimes the most profound time is the kind that barely moves. The quiet before a storm. The pause between two heartbeats. The hush of early morning when everything is waiting. These are the places where time feels thick, dense, almost sacred. And in them the world feels more real, not because it is moving, but because it is still. Inside your mind, time does not pass like hours on a dial. It pulses in waves, flows in loops, stretches to make room for memory, for emotion, for attention. When you recall a past event, your brain does not rewind a tape. It recreates the scene from fragments scattered across your senses. The light, the sound, the feeling. And in that recreation, the past becomes present again. You are not visiting a memory. You are building it again in this moment. And because the act of remembering reshapes the memory, time begins to blur. The past is never quite fixed. It is more like a watercolor, familiar, yet never the same each time you look. And so the past is not behind you. It is inside you, changing as you change. A childhood memory once painful may grow tender with age. A joyful moment may grow more meaningful as its distance grows. This is not a flaw in time, it is its softness. its willingness to bend with your heart. And it is not only humans who feel time this way. Animals grieve, celebrate, wait. A dog remembers your footsteps, a bird returns to its nest. The natural world does not measure time in clocks, it moves in cycles, in patterns. The moon rises and falls. Seasons turn like breath. Trees mark the years in rings, the soil keeps record of the rain. Even the cells of your body follow their own time. Your circadian rhythm tells your organs when to rest, when to wake. The light through your eyes sets your internal clock, but not with numbers, with rhythm. If you were placed in total darkness, your body would still keep time, guided by memory, by chemical pulses, by the silent sway of life's deeper tide. And even this internal time is not fixed. It shifts with age, with stress, with emotion. Time within you is not mechanical. It is organic, alive, responsive. Look now to the stars and the illusion deepens. The light you see tonight from a distant galaxy began its journey millions of years ago. That light has traveled through silence, through the fabric of space, carrying the image of a moment that is long gone. And yet when it reaches your eyes, it is received as now. You are witnessing history in real time. The past is not dead. It is arriving, always arriving. Every starlit sky is proof that the universe does not move with clean edges. It echoes. It overlaps. It carries time across distances we cannot comprehend. And when you speak of the future, you do not speak of what is certain, you speak of what is imagined. Plans, dreams, hopes, fears. The future does not exist yet, not in any place you can point to. It is built from the materials of the present, your thoughts, your actions, your question. The future is not where you are going. It is what you are creating. And that creation, too, happens in layers. Slowly, sometimes invisibly. The seeds you plant now become the seasons ahead. Time in this way is not ahead of you. It is behind your eyes, waiting for shape. This is why the present moment is so delicate. It is the only place where time can actually be touched. It is the needle that threads past to future, the point of contact. And yet we often rush past it, chasing what's next or turning over what's gone. But when you pause, truly pause, you can feel it. The now, the breath, the life. It is not loud, it is not urgent, but it is whole. It is always there, no matter how far your thoughts may wander. And it is enough. Consider how memory plays with time in sleep. A dream may feel as if it lasted an hour, but only seconds have passed. Or it may feel brief, but leave an impression that lasts a lifetime. This is because time in the brain is not about length, it is about depth. Emotional intensity stretches time. Novelty slows it. This is why falling in love feels like a lifetime in a moment, and why grief can stretch 1 hour into forever. Your experience of time is not governed by the sun, but by your soul. And sometimes time becomes circular. You revisit a place and feel everything at once. What happened, what could have, what still might. The past breathes again, the future leans forward, and you are suspended in the middle, knowing. This happens not because time loops, but because the mind holds many timelines at once. Regret and hope live side by side. So do memory and anticipation. You are not moving through time. You are holding it all at once in the layered chamber of your awareness. Even language reflects this mystery. Some cultures speak of time as flowing from behind, the past always at your back, known and visible. The future lies ahead, unseen. Others reverse it, the past is ahead because you can see it. The future is behind because it is hidden. Both are metaphors, both are true in their own way. Time has no direction, only story does, only emotion, only meaning. And when we speak of time ending, what do we mean? A life, a season, a phase, but nothing truly ends. It transforms, it enters a new form, leaves fall and becomes soil. A breath becomes air. A heartbeat stops, but the love it carried continues. In this way, time is not a destroyer. It is a translator. It takes what was and turns it into what is next. It teaches impermanence, but also renewal. It reminds us that nothing is ever lost, only changed. So when you feel the weight of time, its pressure, its urgency, breathe. Return to the now. Let the future soften, let the past settle. The present is not a narrow bridge. It is a wide river. You can rest here, you can float. Time will carry you whether you grasp or not. Let it move gently, let it surprise you. Let it slow just for a moment so that you may see that it was never a ticking clock at all. It was always a breath, a heartbeat, a whisper that says quietly, "You are here." And now let time dissolve completely. Let it slip between your fingers like water, leaving only sensation, only the presence of being. You are no longer moving from past to future. You are resting inside a moment so still, so open, it stretches to touch everything. This is where time no longer counts but listens. No clocks, no calendars, only awareness. The hush after a deep breath, the space before a thought, the feeling of now that contains all things. Because time, as we thought we knew it, was only ever a shape the mind drew around change. Without that shape, we are not lost, we are found. It is easy to believe time is a master, that it controls your days, chases you with shadows, measures your worth by what is done and undone. But this, too, is illusion. Time is not a rule, it is a rhythm, and you are allowed to fall out of step. You are allowed to rest, to pause, to live without rushing. You are allowed to measure time not in hours but in warmth, not in achievement but in presence. A day can be full without being busy. A life can be rich without being long. Time has never asked you to hurry. That voice came from somewhere else. We often say we are running out of time as if it is something we hold. But the truth is, time has always held us, carried us, wrapped us gently in its unfolding. There is no race, no deadline for becoming, no urgency in the eyes of the stars. Time watches without judgment. It gives endlessly, never taking. What we call lost time is simply time lived differently. What we call wasted time is often the space where healing begins. And what we call the right time is only the moment when we finally stop resisting. Even endings are not what they seem. They do not break time, they deepen it. A goodbye is a fold in the fabric, not a tear. Grief is the echo of love across time. Memory is the tether that keeps someone near even when they're gone. In this way, endings are beginnings dressed in different clothes. The clock may stop, but meaning continues. The story lingers. The love remains. Time cannot hold or erase what is truly felt. Look at the sky. You are seeing the past. Look at your hands. You are seeing 1,000 moments layered into shape. Look at someone you love. You are seeing them now, but also all the time you've shared. The first words, the shared meals, the silent moments. You are not seeing a person. You are seeing a timeline, a world. And when they look at you, they see the same. We do not exist in time. We carry it in us, give it shape by how we feel, how we remember, how we love. Even silence holds time. Not absence, but fullness. The pause before a word, the space between notes in a song, these are where meaning blooms. The mind needs stillness to make sense of sound. The heart needs rest to feel joy. In this way, time is not something you fill. It is something you feel. And to feel it fully, sometimes you must let it stop. Let it sit beside you like an old friend, saying nothing, just being. And maybe that is the softest truth of all, that time is not a problem to solve, but a mystery to sit with. You do not have to master it, you only have to meet it, in breath, in silence, in the eyes of someone who listens. When you are fully present, time becomes soft. It no longer demands. It simply holds you like the ocean holds a swimmer, like the wind holds a leaf. And then something strange happens. When you stop chasing time, it opens. Moments expand. A simple task becomes sacred. A walk becomes a poem. A conversation becomes a bridge across everything. And you begin to realize you were never running out of time. You were only running away from stillness. Now that you've stopped, you are here, fully, at last. Time isn't there, not the way you thought, but something is. Something quiet and real and full of breath. And that something is enough, because within it you are alive. Color is not a thing. It is not a pigment or a substance or a property that sits quietly inside objects, waiting to be discovered. Color is a language of light, a whisper your brain tells itself when certain waves touch your eyes. A red apple is not red. It simply reflects wavelengths that your mind has learned to call red. A violet flower holds no violet. It only invites your brain to dance with a certain frequency. You are not seeing the world as it is. You are seeing the world as your mind paints it, gently, layer by layer, using color as a kind of dream. And the palette you use is not complete. There are colors, many of them, that no one has ever seen. You see, human eyes are limited, not in failure but in design. Inside your retina are cells called cones, and they come in three types, each tuned to a different range of light. One responds mostly to short wavelengths, which we call blue. Another is drawn to medium or green, and a third leans toward longer wavelengths, red. Everything you see is crafted from these three responses. Even the richest colors are mixtures. Your brain interprets the overlap. Yellow is a mix of red and green signals. White is the sum of many. But outside these ranges lies a vast world, colors too deep, too subtle, too wild for your biology to hold. Other creatures see what we cannot. A mantis shrimp, for instance, carries up to 16 types of color receptors. Some butterflies can see ultraviolet. Birds detect hues in each other's feathers that are invisible to us. To them, the world glows with colors we have no names for. And these colors are not just brighter, they are entirely other. Not more of what we see, but something else entirely. As different from red as red is from sound. Scientists call them non-spectral colors, combinations of wavelengths that do not exist in ordinary sunlight, yet can be perceived under certain conditions. Humans can imagine some of them, colors like reddish-green or bluish-yellow, but we cannot truly see them. The brain rejects the contradiction. And yet the idea of colors unseen lingers like a taste on the edge of memory. Sometimes we sense them in dreams, in moments when the mind becomes unmoored, when logic softens. People waking from anesthesia or slipping into altered states often report seeing colors they cannot describe, colors that felt real but do not exist in the waking world. What are these? Perhaps echoes of neural activity, patterns without anchors. Or perhaps the brain, when left to wander, invents new hues in the absence of sensory rules. Not false, but imagined. The way music sometimes plays in silence. But even the colors we do see are not fixed. They shift depending on light, on contrast, on emotion. A gray wall under a sunset feels different than the same wall at noon. A blue shirt looks brighter next to yellow than it does beside green. The brain adjusts constantly, not just to external light, but to internal context. If you are tired, sad, hopeful, colors change. Some seem dull, others sharp. This is not illusion. It is the mind weaving emotion into perception. Color is not just seen, it is felt. And the world participates in the performance. The sky appears blue not because it is filled with blue light, but because shorter wavelengths scatter more in the atmosphere. Sunsets are red because those same short waves scatter out, leaving longer ones behind. You are not seeing color in things, you are seeing color in the way light moves, the way it dances and breaks. A soap bubble is not rainbowed, it simply bends light in layers, so your brain interprets color from interference. Oil on water. Dragonfly wings, holograms, all of these play with light, not pigment. Your own body plays tricks too. Stare at a green square long enough, then look at a white wall, you will see red. This is afterimage, your eye's way of balancing receptors. The world in that moment continues to shift even after the stimulus has gone, and still you trust what you see, not because it is correct, but because it is consistent. Color becomes a shared language, even though no two people see it quite the same. Your red might be slightly different from mine, but the word holds us together. We agree on roses, on sunsets, on fire, even if our minds whisper something slightly different. And what of color in memory? Think of your childhood bedroom. Can you see the paint on the walls, the color of your bedsheet? Maybe. Maybe not clearly, but the feeling of that room, the warmth, the shade, the quiet comes through in a color all its own. Memory carries color, not always accurately, but emotionally. You remember the golden hour, not as a time of day, but as a feeling in the light. A photograph from long ago holds more than an image. It holds the color of the moment, even if it has faded with time. Artists have long understood this. They paint not what is, but what feels true. A blue shadow, a purple tree, a field that burns with orange. These are not mistakes, they are offerings. A glimpse into the inner world where color does not obey physics but emotion. And in this way, color becomes a portal, a way of saying, this is how I see. This is what the world feels like to me. And yet science continues to search. There are experiments now that aim to expand human vision, to give us a fourth type of cone to simulate ultraviolet to build glasses that can reveal wavelengths once hidden. We can map infrared. We can assign colors to radio waves. We can see with technology what we cannot see with our eyes. But even then, the translation must happen. The machine detects data and we color it. We give shape to the unseen. We give it red, blue, green. Not because it is those things, but because we need to feel them to understand. The colors no one has ever seen are not lost. They are waiting, not in the world but in the possibilities of perception, in the quiet potential of minds not yet born. The universe is filled with signals we cannot receive, sounds we cannot hear, touches we cannot feel. But the limit is not in the world. It is in the doorway through which we enter it. And that doorway, your perception, is still growing. So when you look at a painting or a petal or the sky just before rain, remember, you are not just seeing light. You are seeing yourself seeing. You are witnessing the mind interpret photons into beauty. You are part of the performance. And in that performance there is more to come. More colors, more feelings, more worlds, waiting just beyond the edge of what eyes can hold. Waiting always to be dreamed into view. Let us drift now into the spaces where color disappears. Not because it is absent, but because it moves beyond our reach. In the deep ocean, where sunlight fades and blue becomes the last echo of daylight, creatures bloom in reds and purples that no longer serve vision. There, in the quiet of the deep, light becomes memory and color becomes survival written in bioluminescent code. A jellyfish pulses green, a fish glows blue, and the darkness becomes alive with flashes. These colors do not exist in daylight. They are born of need, of pressure, of strange depths. And yet they are still color, still the language of light made visible to those who are tuned to see. In space, the idea of color stretches even further. Nebulae swirl in hues not painted by their actual tones, but by the way telescopes translate wavelengths. Radio waves become crimson, X-rays glow in violet. These are false color images, not lies, but invitations. They allow us to witness what our eyes cannot grasp, to map the energy of the universe in shades we can emotionally recognize. Without this translation, space would remain silent, cold, but with it the stars sing, the galaxies bloom. And we are allowed to stand before them with the illusion of understanding. But even here the truth remains, color is not out there, it is within. The photon carries no color, it carries energy, frequency, information. Color happens only when that energy touches your eye, meets your mind, and is assigned a name, a sensation, a feeling. That means the same beam of light may be seen differently by every eye it touches. No two creatures see the same world. Even among humans, color perception varies subtly, affected by age, by genetics, by the lens of the eye. Some people are born without one type of cone, and for them, red and green may blur together. Yet even they build a rich world, a full world, one no less vibrant than yours. Color is not in the eye, it is in the mind. And what of the colors we invent? The ones that do not exist in the spectrum but arise from mixing. Pink is not a spectral color, it has no single wavelength. It exists only as a blend of red and blue light with green absent. Your brain fills the gap. It creates pink as a placeholder, a compromise. And yet we decorate our world in it. We wear it, paint it, associate it with feelings and ideas. This imagined color becomes real through repetition, through memory, through cultural agreement. In this way, much of your visual world is fiction made functional. Synesthesia takes this further. In some minds, colors appear where they do not belong. A person might see numbers as shades or hear music as bursts of hue. A violin note becomes gold, a letter becomes green. This is not metaphor, it is experience. The brain, wired in unique ways, overlaps senses. And while synesthesia is rare, it reminds us that color is not limited to the eye. It can be born in sound, in thought, in language. It is not a property, it is a phenomenon. One that stretches across sense, space, and self. In meditation or trance, people sometimes report seeing colors unlike anything they've seen before, colors they cannot describe. They speak of them as soft, as infinite, as emotional. Not pastel, not neon, something beyond. Some researchers believe these visions are the brain accessing combinations of signals it cannot usually process together. Others think they are memory fragments woven into dream. But either way, the effect is the same. The mind glimpses the edge of its palette. The illusion bends. And we are reminded of what lies beyond it. Even memory distorts color. When you remember an event, you may remember the light a certain way, not because it was that way, but because of how it felt. A wedding day may shine in golden tones, even if it rained. A hospital visit may feel washed in blue, even if the walls were beige. Emotion colors memory, and the stronger the feeling, the more vivid the hue. Artists and filmmakers use this intuition constantly. A scene meant to feel nostalgic may be tinted with amber. A moment of fear with greenish shadows. The audience may not notice, but the effect is real. We are guided not by facts, but by feeling. And then there is language. Some cultures have only 3 or 4 words for color, others have dozens. Where one person sees green, another may see 2 distinct colors, light green and dark green, given different names felt as different experiences. The Himba people of Namibia, for instance, group colors differently than English speakers do. This affects what they see. Literally, in tests, they can distinguish shades that appear identical to others. Language shapes perception. And color, being born in the mind, responds to the words we give it. A new word opens a new category. A new category makes a new distinction. Over time, that distinction becomes a new reality. You do not see all that is there. You see what your mind has learned to name. And yet, even within those names, there is mystery. A sunset pulls orange and violet across the clouds, and you stop not to study but to feel. You do not think this is due to the scattering of shorter wavelengths. You simply feel awe. That awe is part of color. It cannot be measured, only known. Color is not just perception, it is presence. A way your body says, I am here, I see this, I feel this. Children experience color differently too. Before language solidifies categories, they see with openness. A toddler might describe something as yellowish red rather than orange. They feel the in-between, the spectrum. Over time, schooling teaches them the rules. But before that, they live in a world with more fluid boundaries. The way a sunrise bleeds into sky. The way light through leaves can be both green and gold. They do not yet separate. They simply see. And perhaps that is the truest color of all, the one that doesn't need numbing, doesn't need pointing. The color that arrives in a moment and leaves with a feeling. The color of a loved one's sweater. The color of the sea you visited once. The color of light on a wall at a particular time of day when everything felt okay. These colors live beyond language, beyond spectrum. They are yours alone, and yet they are real. So the next time you close your eyes and think of color, don't picture a chart or a rainbow. Picture a memory, a moment, a breath. Picture the colors no one else has ever seen, the ones only you carry. They are not wrong, they are not impossible. They are the world as you know it, painted by emotion, shaped by presence, held not in the eye but in the heart. Let yourself soften now into the realization that color is not only what you see, but what you remember, what you imagine, what you long for. The mind is full of hues that never existed in the physical world, yet feel as real as light. Think of the color of a dream. Do you remember it? Not clearly, perhaps, but deeply. There was a warmth, a glow, a tone you cannot name. It wasn't red or blue or gold. It was something in between or maybe beyond. That dream color may never have existed in the outside world, but it lives within you. Your mind, rich with emotion and memory, creates colors that the eye cannot detect. And in doing so, it reminds us that not all beauty must be visible to be real. Imagination holds the key to these unseen colors. Artists who lose their sight often describe continued visions, color streaming behind closed eyes, paintings completed in their thoughts. The body may lose its tools, but the inner world continues to create. In blindness, the brain does not fall silent. It shifts, it invents, it recalls. Light, in such cases, is not needed to see. The memory of color becomes enough. And so the question arises, is it seeing that creates color? Or is it the will to feel, to hold, to make sense of the world in beauty? If color is born of perception, then surely what you carry inside counts just as much as what reflects from without. The physical world, for all its brilliance, is not colored on its own. A blade of grass does not know it is green. A sky does not recognize its blue. These meanings are made inside us, shaped by biology, yes, but also by joy, by sorrow, by experience. A color may look the same, but feel utterly different depending on what it brings forth in you. This is why a painting can make one person weep and another shrug, why a simple shade on a wall can feel like comfort or confinement. Because color lives not in the object but in the response. It is relational, alive, a silent conversation between what is seen and who is seeing. And over time, colors gather stories. A red scarf becomes the memory of winter walks. A yellowed photograph becomes the hue of time itself. Cultures weave color into ritual, into identity. White for mourning or for marriage, black for elegance or for loss. These are choices made not by light but by meaning. Color becomes symbol, and symbol becomes a way to carry the invisible. A flag becomes more than cloth. A ribbon becomes more than decoration. In these moments, color becomes voice. It speaks what words cannot. It remembers what cannot be said aloud. There are also moments when color fades and we notice its absence as much as its presence. The washed-out world of grief, the grayscale quiet of fog, the sterile brightness of a hospital, these are not accidents. They are how we feel time, how the world shifts in tone when something deep changes inside. And then, sometimes unexpectedly, color returns. A flash of green in spring, a burst of orange in a shared meal, a deep blue sky after days of rain. That return is felt more deeply because of the contrast. It is not just about what the eye sees. It is about what the heart has missed. This is why we paint, why we decorate, why we notice the colors of clothing, of spaces, of skis. We are not merely appreciating wavelengths. We are arranging our emotional landscapes. A red door says welcome or danger or memory, depending on what you bring to it. A purple dusk feels like closure or romance or stillness. These meanings are personal, but they are not isolated. We learn them together, share them, echo them in design, in language, in the glances we exchange when something beautiful passes through our field of vision. And what of the future of color? Technology now allows us to mimic and enhance vision, to build tools that reveal light outside the visible spectrum. Cameras that see heat, sensors that detect ultraviolet. We assign these unseen waves color codes, not because they are truly that color, but because we need a way to hold them, a way to feel their presence. We color what we cannot see so that we may recognize it, and in doing so, we stretch the limits of our palette. Not just for the eye, but for the imagination. Some scientists believe we could one day expand human perception by adding new cone cells to the eye, by creating neural links that simulate color types we've never known. But even then, the mind would have to learn what to feel. It would have to invent new names, new emotions, new relationships to the world. The colors no one has ever seen may yet be seen, but not just with the eye. They must be welcomed, held, and loved before they become real. Because color in the end is not a spectrum. It is a symphony, a feeling, a memory, a language of light written in the heart. It is how we say this matters, how we say I see you, how we let the world imprint itself upon us gently with no words. And within that quiet seeing there is always room for more, for colors that do not yet exist, for names we haven't made up, for moments so full of emotion that only a new color could carry them. So when you close your eyes, picture a color you've never seen. Let it rise like mist. Let it wrap around a memory, a sound, a hope. You will not be able to name it. You may not be able to describe it, but it will be real to you. And in that private creation, in that quiet unfolding, you will join the great story of perception, not just as a receiver, but as a creator. There are colors that no one has ever seen, and some of them live only in you. There is music playing everywhere, but you cannot hear it. It hums beneath your feet, thrums through your skin, and drifts quietly in the spaces between stars. The atoms that build your body are not still. They vibrate, they spin, they shift and collide and stretch. And in those motions, though no air carries them and no ear detects them, a kind of music is being made. A soundless symphony. Every molecule, every cell, every grain of dust plays its part. But the rhythm is too small, the pitch too strange, the silence too deep for the senses to receive. Still, it is there. It has always been there, a hidden song shaping reality from the inside out. Atoms are not objects in the way we imagine them. They are not tiny marbles. They are patterns, clouds of probability, fields of motion. A nucleus at the center surrounded by electrons that do not orbit like planets but shimmer like waves. These waves vibrate constantly, not in isolation but in response to everything around them. The temperature of a room, the presence of light, the pull of a nearby charge. These motions are not random. They are organized, structured. A kind of choreography we cannot hear, but which gives rise to every texture, every taste, every breath. In a block of metal, the atoms vibrate in place, packed tightly, exchanging energy like whispers. In a gas, they tumble freely, faster, with space to roam. In your skin, in your hair, in the blood beneath your ribs, atoms pulse with warmth, the gentle movement of life continuing in silence. When you touch something, you are feeling not contact but resistance. The atoms of your hand repelling the atoms of the object, their vibrations setting limits on how close things may come. It feels solid. But what you feel is motion, shaped into stillness by pattern. And yet these patterns are not random noise. In crystals, atoms align in repeating structures, forming perfect symmetry. Like a song repeating its notes, these lattices create predictable rhythms. The structure of a snowflake, the shimmer of a diamond, the strength of a bone, all of them are shaped by the way atoms lock together and move. The frequencies of their vibrations, though silent to us, determine how heat flows, how light reflects, how sound travels. The structure is sound just beyond hearing. Even the softest things are made this way. The silk of a spider's web, the surface of a leaf, the skin of your lips. They are formed by molecules folding into shape, atoms held in place by charges, by bonds, by invisible threads of energy. And those bonds, too, vibrate. In science, we call this the vibrational mode of a molecule. Different bonds stretch and bend at different rates, like strings on an instrument. Scientists can use light to detect these vibrations, to map what cannot be heard. It's called spectroscopy, the reading of a silent music. Every substance has its own fingerprint, its own tune. The scale is dizzying. A single gram of water contains trillions of atoms, each one vibrating, each one part of the symphony. When you heat something, you add energy and the atoms move faster. They begin to sing a new song with a higher pitch, a more chaotic rhythm. When something freezes, the song slows, becomes quiet, orderly. These shifts are not just physical. They are emotional, too. You feel the warmth of tea in your hands because of this motion. You feel the cold of wind because of its stillness. The body translates atomic music into sensation, and the mind turns sensation into story. Even your own thoughts are built from this motion. Neurons fire not in silence but with electrical impulses that cause ions, charged atoms, to move. Every thought, every word, every memory is a cascade of atomic motion. The brain, warm and alive, is not just a place of quiet contemplation. It is a field of dancing particles, a storm of signals. And yet the rhythm is controlled, shaped into meaning, into awareness. You are a pattern of movement. You are a song being played moment by moment, silently from within. And while this song is silent, it is not without consequence. A bridge may hum with tension when wind passes through. A mountain may vibrate just slightly under the weight of snow. A glass may shatter from a single note, not because of the sound, but because of the resonance, the match between vibration and structure. When frequencies align, energy builds. Motion becomes transformation. And in that moment, the soundless becomes powerful. The invisible becomes felt. The universe itself may be built from such vibrations. String theory, a bold and beautiful idea, suggests that the smallest units of matter are not particles but vibrating strings of energy. Each string vibrates at a specific frequency, and that frequency determines what it becomes: an electron, a photon, a quark. Matter, then, is not substance. It is vibration, music without sound. And space itself may carry these waves, ripples in spacetime, faint and slow. Gravitational waves, predicted by Einstein, are real. We have heard them not with ears but with instruments, tuned to the fabric of existence itself. And in this way, silence becomes filled with song. The spaces between atoms, between stars, are not empty. They pulse with fields, with waves, with the potential to vibrate, to move, to become. You do not need to hear it to be part of it. You are made from it. The hum of your blood, the beat of your heart, the warmth of your breath, all emerge from this unseen rhythm. Even sleep is a kind of musical retreat. The body slows its tempo. The mind enters new patterns. Dreams unfold like melodies in soft darkness. And yet we walk through this music as if it is still. We hold a cup, touch a wall, feel the press of another's hand. It feels solid, quiet, calm, but inside that calm is movement. Inside stillness is 1,000 tiny dances, and they continue regardless of attention. The atoms do not wait to be noticed. They vibrate because it is their nature. And in doing so they shape the world, the color of a petal, the strength of a thread, the taste of salt. All of it begins with movement too small to see. So the next time you sit in silence, truly still, listen differently. Not with your ears, but with your attention. Feel the hum beneath your skin, the warmth of your palms, the air pressing gently on your chest. These are not empty moments. They are filled with invisible music, the kind that does not pass through air but through existence itself. And in that music you are not a listener. You are an instrument, a song, a brief, brilliant part of the soundless symphony of atoms. Now let us follow that silent music deeper, into the place where atoms begin to listen to each other. In the world of molecules, soundlessness becomes structure. The way atoms move, not just their presence but their rhythm, dictates the way matter behaves. A simple change in vibration can shift a molecule from harmless to toxic, from useless to essential. A protein, the workhorse of the body, folds into its shape based not only on chemical rules, but on the harmony of its atoms. If that folding misfires, if the rhythm goes wrong, the result can be illness, collapse, confusion within the cellular world. But when it works, when the music is right, life flows. A single strand of DNA, with its double helix, hums with a structure so precise that it can carry the instructions for building an entire being. This is why life is not just chemistry, it is choreography. Every breath you take is a cascade of atomic dances. Oxygen enters your lungs and meets hemoglobin, a complex protein shaped perfectly to catch it. That catch happens through motion, through resonance, through attraction. And when the oxygen is released into your cells, the rhythm continues. Mitochondria hum quietly, converting sugar into energy. Not with gears or sparks, but with shifts in electrons, with spins and bonds, with the push and pull of silent forces. At every level, your body is a concert of interactions, synchronized, layered, alive. And the tuning of this concert matters. A drug that heals works because it matches the rhythm of its target. Its atoms fit into the right place at the right time like a key into a lock. But it's more than shape, it's about movement, compatibility of energy. In medical science, understanding this has become a kind of music theory. Which frequencies heal, which break the harmony. This is why some treatments work better at different temperatures or in different bodies. Each human is a slightly different song. Even emotion has a rhythm. When you feel calm, your heart beats in a gentle tempo, your breathing slows, your muscles settle into a slower vibration. When you are afraid, everything speeds up. Your pulse quickens, your thoughts race. These changes are physical, yes, but they are also vibrational. Your atoms are still, always moving, but the tempo changes. And those around you can sense it. A room full of tension feels different than one full of peace, not just psychologically but physically. Your body, attuned to motion, feels the difference in the air. This is not mystical, it is mechanical. The vibrations of atoms are not metaphors, they are measurable. In tools like atomic force microscopes, we can detect the tiny oscillations of molecules, feel their push and pull. In MRI machines, we listen to the way nuclei align and release energy in magnetic fields. These instruments do not hear sound, but they detect rhythm. They listen in the language of atoms, and from that language we build images, diagnoses, insights. We see through vibration. We understand through silence. But we are not just listeners, we are transmitters. The heat of your skin radiates into the air, made of the kinetic energy of vibrating atoms. When you touch someone's hand, what you share is not just warmth, but a pattern, a signal, a tiny message written in the quiet movement of matter. And perhaps in ways we do not fully understand, the body responds. The immune system changes. The mind calms. Something opens. The soundless music of atoms becomes communication, connection, care. In the natural world, this language continues. A leaf turns toward the sun not only because of gravity, but because its cells detect changes in energy, in warmth, in molecular rhythm. The way a spider web catches light, the way a river smooths a stone, the way frost grows across glass, all of it begins at the atomic level in how vibrations respond to forces. Soundless, slow, perfect. Even the scent of a flower begins with vibration. Molecules released into the air reach your nose and trigger receptors that detect their motion. You do not smell chemicals, you smell their dance. This is why the world feels alive, even when silent. Why a room can feel different after someone enters. Why a forest hums with presence even when no wind moves the trees. The air is filled with motion. The earth beneath your feet is a vibrating shell. Even the rocks, still and cold, carry energy within. Inside every object is a universe of trembling parts, each one echoing the conditions of the whole. Heat, light, pressure, tension. These shape how atoms move and how they sing. And this singing has consequence. In music, we speak of harmonics, notes that resonate, that build upon one another to form chords, to form beauty. In physics, this idea is mirrored. Certain vibrations amplify each other, others cancel out. When molecules align in their motion, they become more than the sum of their parts. They create emergent properties, new abilities, new behaviors. This is how soft things become strong, how liquids become crystals, how soundless becomes powerful. Harmony at the atomic level builds the fabric of what you touch, what you see, what you trust. And yet all of this happens invisibly. You walk across a floor without feeling the dance beneath. You eat an apple without hearing the thousands of tiny vibrations that shape its sweetness, its crunch. But they are there, constant, gentle, unceasing. Every taste, every breath, every moment is carried on the back of this music. You are not just a participant. You are the instrument. Your body plays itself again and again, renewing with each cell, each breath, each beat. Even in death, the music continues. The body returns to the earth and its atoms are taken up again, reused, recycled into new rhythms. The song changes key, changes shape, but it does not stop. There is no silence, only transition. And so life becomes a movement within a larger symphony, brief, beautiful, and eternal in the way its parts echo forward. The ancients believed the universe was built on music, not metaphorical music, but actual vibrations, the music of the spheres. And perhaps in their poetic way they were right. For even now, at the edge of science, we speak of quantum fields, of waves of probability, of space-time rippling like a drum. Every discovery points back to motion, to vibration, to the idea that everything we see, everything we are, arises not from things but from their movement. And so let your stillness be filled with awe. Let your silence be a place of listening. The soundless symphony of atoms continues even now within you, not heard, but felt. And in that feeling you may find peace, because the music never ends. Let us rest now inside this understanding, this silent but ever-moving truth, that everything around you and everything within you is a performance of motion too small to see, too quiet to hear, yet too constant to ignore. Even as you sit still, your body does not stop, not for a moment. The atoms inside your bones shift and tremble. The water in your cells dances with heat. The breath you just took has set into motion 1,000 invisible acts, molecules binding, energy transferring, tiny forces gently unfolding the moments of your life. You are not separate from this rhythm. You are made from it, a melody in the key of motion. What looks like stillness is only an illusion crafted by scale. A mountain does not seem to move, yet inside its rock is a lattice of restless atoms. A table appears quiet, yet every inch of it is alive with heat and pressure. Even the air, invisible and easy to forget, is bursting with movement, molecules rushing past one another, bouncing, colliding, spreading. It is not emptiness that surrounds you. It is full of unseen movement. The entire world in every moment vibrates with quiet energy. And though you do not hear it in the way you hear bird song or wind, this music of motion plays on. It is the background rhythm of everything you know. And in some rare cases, when vibration becomes visible, it stuns us with beauty. Think of the rings in water after a pebble falls. Think of the shimmer of heat above a road. Think of the trembling of light on the surface of a bubble. These are glimpses, brief windows into the deeper truth. That vibration shapes reality. That movement creates meaning. Sometimes scientists use tools to translate these hidden patterns into something you can sense. In experiments with cymatics, sound waves are passed through thin surfaces dusted with particles. The result is astonishing, perfect geometric patterns, flowers of vibration appearing from the chaos of sound. These shapes are not random. They are born of frequency, of structure, of resonance. A low tone might form circles. A higher one might create stars. And while you cannot see the atoms themselves move this way, their patterns echo this harmony. The same principles apply. Matter responds to vibration. Life responds to rhythm. Even at the edge of physics, the silence continues to surprise. Quantum mechanics, the study of the smallest things, tells us that particles are not truly still. They flicker, jitter, fluctuate. Even in a vacuum, energy bubbles in and out of existence. The term for this is zero-point energy, the motion that remains even at absolute zero, the coldest possible temperature. It is the hum of existence itself, the bottom floor of being. No matter how quiet the universe becomes, it is never truly silent. There is always something moving, always something becoming. And this movement holds memory. A rock, weathered by wind and rain, carries the vibrations of centuries. A tree rings with seasons that once passed through it. The earth beneath your feet still trembles with the echoes of footsteps from long ago, some from people, some from creatures now extinct, some from waves of heat rising through the ground. These vibrations may fade, but they never truly disappear. They change form. They move into new shapes. The world remembers through motion. Your body does the same. When you feel joy, sorrow, tension, peace, these emotions are not only thoughts, they are changes in rhythm. Your heart, your lungs, your muscles, your nerves all adjust. They vibrate differently. Emotion becomes embodied not through stillness but through subtle movement. This is why deep breathing calms you. It restores rhythm. This is why music can heal. It speaks directly to your inner tempo. You may not understand the notes, but your body listens, responds, resonates. And when people come together, something deeper happens. Two hearts near each other begin to sync their rhythms. It is called entrainment. Two people breathing together can unconsciously match pace. A room full of dancers follows the beat not because they are told to, but because they feel it. These are not just social behaviors. They are vibrational harmonies. Bodies made of atoms seeking coherence, seeking togetherness, seeking shared motion. Even silence is a kind of sound, a container for vibration. A moment of pause before speech, the stillness before dawn. These are not empty, they are full of potential, of anticipation. A held breath carries more than air. It carries readiness, the possibility of movement. And in this way, rest becomes part of the music. Not the absence of rhythm, but its suspension, its soft echo. At the end of each day, when the world grows quiet, this silent symphony remains. It plays inside you as you sleep. It rocks the cradle of your dreams. Cells renew. Muscles relax. The temperature of your skin drops gently as your body enters new waves of rhythm. You dream not only in story but in energy. Not only in images but in molecular performance. Your body carries on its quiet song, so you may wake again whole. And so the soundless symphony of atoms never ends. It has no conductor, no audience, no applause. And yet it continues. From the spark of stars to the touch of fingertips, from the fold of a leaf to the orbit of a planet, from the shiver of a molecule to the pause in your chest, it continues. And you, listener of silence, are not merely part of it. You are one of its instruments. Your every breath, your every thought is a note in this grand, invisible score. Let that bring you peace. Let it remind you that even in stillness you are singing. Even in quiet you are heard. Even when you feel alone, your atoms dance in the company of all that is. You are vibrating with life. And that life, though soft and silent, is full of song.